So let's finish it. As I was saying, I don't really want to add a overpowered weapon so anybody can use it, because I feel like that would punish good players and it would force good players to use that specific weapon to pretty much counter it back. And that's just not really the right direction to create a balanced multiplayer experience for both casual players or hardcore players. Another thing I want to add is, what is it? Oh yeah, an in-game mini-map. It's kind of like the little thing that Gears of War 3 had. I think if you press a certain button, it shows the entire map, but it also shows all the power-ups and weapons. This is a really good feature because it basically it doesn't allow you to open up the map and you have to physically run around the map and learn all the stuff that the map has. And I think this is definitely going to be a good feature for both of the hardcore and casual players. Now that doesn't mean I won't eliminate the whole point where you have to load up a map and actually physically run around it. There will be jump spots and tricks and all of that stuff, and to pretty much learn all of that techniques you have to physically open up the map and mess around with it. So there's still some sort of reason for you to load up a map and play around with it. But yeah, that's pretty much it for multiplayer, so let's jump into co-op. Doom 1 and 2 co-op was kind of fun, but it just didn't feel the same compared to the single player experience, because it is annoying when you don't have as much targets to shoot. Even though I do think Doom 3 was kind of a better experience because they increased the monster count, and I think they did increase the monster count exclusively for the co-op mode too. Like on map 13 you have to fight a cyber demon, and I think there are a couple more maps where you do have to fight extra enemies that isn't a boss enemy, like the Spider Mastermind or cyber demon. Doom 3 co-op was an interesting twist. It basically took the best maps of what it thought in Doom 3 was and made it more action-packed, which was pretty good, even though I wish there was a skill level option, because its settings is still fairly limited compared to the multiplayer. I really do think it's good to have a horde mode, but I do want a campaign co-op experience at the same time too. I think it's best to really leave it at 2 players at max for the campaign, just like my version difference video. Doom is primarily a single player. This is just really an extra feature. And on the consoles there will be an exclusive split screen mode, but on the PC there won't really be one. I mean, couch co-op is primarily a console thing, and I really don't think PC gamers are even gonna give a flying crap about it. I mean, let's just be honest here. Back in the older days, generally if PC gamers wanted to have a more local experience with their friends or multiple people, they would just LAN it up, while consoles were primarily split screen, and they didn't at the time when PC gamers had access to online games, console gamers, they didn't really have that, so the only way they could play with multiple players was split screen, and I think this won't really be a big issue within the PC community. So for the horde mode, I think it would be good to make it more like Modern Warfare 3's survival mode. I loved the market features it had, you could buy weapons, upgrade them, buy equipment, kill streaks. All of this stuff was cool, but you can doomify it, if that makes any sense. I would support the same idea for the weapons. You could buy them, upgrade them for better damage, clip size, all of that junk really. And for equipment, I don't really think Doom needs it. I wouldn't add turrets or C4s in the Doom game. It just doesn't feel right. Enough said. The kill streak would be replaced by power-ups from the multiplayer. The weaker ones aren't so costly, but once you get the stronger one, like the invulnerability or maybe a quad damage power up, it's definitely more expensive. I do feel like there should be a certain amount of rounds that you have to survive instead of survive as long as you can, and it should be really intense. I would definitely make this a 4-player co-op, because let's face it, these modes are designed for it essentially. I do want to add something new too, so it doesn't feel like it's a bland copy of survival mode. I do feel like there should be some sort of objective once the waves are done. I really can't think of a good idea, but it's just something for that extra cash you could buy. I mean, you could get to, so you could buy more stuff. Like maybe you have to kill these enemies in a certain amount of time, or maybe survive this extremely hard wave without dying once. Stuff like that nature. I mean, this mode right here. Oh my God, it would be the best thing I've seen in a Doom game, man. Just thinking about the cool stuff that I could do with it just makes it even better. I even think some of the Doom 2 maps are perfect for this type of mode, like map 18, the entire courtyard, or maybe map 27, the very beginning area you're in. But, you know, this is just some of my ideas that I can certainly come up right now. So the last one is challenge mode, and challenge mode is fairly self-explanatory. It's just a mode that's there to challenge you, and just like most challenge mode, it will have, you know, recycled areas from the single player portion, but I definitely won't, you know, make it like the single player where it's basically the same fight that you had but added with more enemies. I really do want to give it a different experience. And challenge mode is almost kind of like the, what is it, the shoot 'em ups type of games. You only get like you only get like 6 levels, and they don't last too long, but they're very tough and they're punishing too. So there's no like quick saves, no checkpoints. You have to beat it like perfectly. You have to beat it deathless. I'm only going to be supporting 2 skill levels for this mode. The main reason why I just want to have only 2 skill levels, which are normal and nightmare. One is there for like the more faster paced experience, and one is there for the difficulty. Yeah, for the difficult experience. Even on normal, I still think it's going to be like very intense and quite difficult for, you know, the hardcore gamer. I think the average gamer, they might not be able to finish it, because I am definitely going to make like the last 2 stages very, very tough, because, well, it's the last 2 stages, man. You gotta really make it tough, and it's only 6 levels, so yeah, it's pretty much a no-brainer if I don't really add something to make it more, I mean, to make it have a lot of replay value essentially. This will be a homage to pistol starting. You only start out with the pistol, and as you play through the maps, you will get better access of weapons, and I think that's really cool, because let's be honest here. If you play a map and you play it with pistol starting, it's definitely a more harder and challenging experience than you just play it the intended way, where you just have all these weapons and then you play the next level with the weapons that you have. So for my conclusion of what I think about my vision of Doom 4, I'm happy with it. I also think it's the most realistic take on it too, because I definitely did some, you know, controversial things to this game, but let's face it, once id Software announced Doom 4, I think there will be some controversial topics that the community might, you know, tackle. I remember when Rage was announced, there was a good amount of topics that a lot of the old school id Software fans weren't, you know, too keen on. Like, they didn't like the regen health, the 4 weapon system, what is it, iron sights, the fact that the game was more like slower pace. It wasn't like, you know, fast pace, where it wasn't like, you know, the movement speed wasn't fast like Doom or Quake. And yeah, man, I do feel like it is definitely going to do something like that. But then again, I really do want this game, you know, to be very new compared to the other Doom games, and I do still wanted to make it familiar. I think I really balanced it right to find that area where it feels like a brand new experience within the Doom franchise, but also very familiar at the same time. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this series, and I actually hope, you know, id Software would actually adapt that same mentality that I have. They don't, like I said, they don't have to like completely copy what I do. They could do something completely different, but it really depends. Like, did they add this to make it a reasonable add-on, or did they add this to just to like appeal to a certain audience so, you know, they can make more money? I mean, yes, a lot of my features I do talk about accessibility, But Doom 1 to 3, they were all successful games at their times. And let's face it, people, this is not, 1993 or 2004, this is 2013. And everything has changed pretty much. Everything that we seem to expect in a first-person shooter, it's not really the same like in those years. So obviously I have to adapt of what we see in today's, shooters. But I think I adapt them like the right way. I really carefully and properly see what would work in a Doom game and what wouldn't work in this game essentially. But I still wanted to see what I would keep to really make people feel like this is a Doom game, but it's also a refreshing game and it's a very new experience, and it's not like I cheaply took Doom 2, added a couple of new weapons, did a couple of changes, and call it a day and have better graphics. No, man. When you're a video game designer, you really have to challenge yourself, and I definitely challenged myself when I was, visioning of how I want my Doom 4 to be, essentially. So yeah, I think overall, I think I, kept the right amount of features from the older games to still make this feel like a Doom game. I decided to, improve some of the stuff that the older Doom games didn't seem to do a good job at, like the difficulty or multiplayer features. And yeah, overall, I'm just happy with what I visioned for this game of how I want it to be.